All right, Ambush, and today we are joined by a Manitoba-based country singer-songwriter. He is a three-time Manitoba Country Music Award nominee. He is a Aboriginal People Choice Award winner. And he just released his first single of 2022, and it was already a top 5 pickup by radio in the first week of release, already doing big things. The track is entitled High Road. Our guest today is Nelson Little. How's it going today, Nelson?
It's going great. Sun is shining here in Portage la Prairie and life is good.
Hey, gotta love when the sun is shining and shining here in BC. So hopefully everywhere else, for everybody else, they're getting a little bit of that sunlight too.
I know there's some people up in Northern Ontario right now getting rain, so it's not everywhere.
Hey, it can't always be sunshine, but rain brings growth. Rain brings new energy too, right? There's good with it too.
That's right.
Hey, you got to take the sunshine with the rain, and sometimes you got to take some high roads in order to avoid those low roads, and sometimes you need those low roads to appreciate the high roads. And of course, High Road is the song we're diving into today. And of course, I want to kick it off with, where exactly did this track begin to take shape for you, Nelson?
Well, we need to write more songs when we're, working diligently toward that. So it was one we wanted to grab something close to my heart, but not, go about it in a sad way. So when I will lock myself in my writing space, I felt what's the most thing right now that's on my mind, the biggest thing. And it was my kid in school in grade 4, struggling through changes in the pandemic. At the time, I never even had that line, right? What I just said to, analyze his situation with. At the time, it was like, what? You were doing so good. And it was French immersion. We took him out of there, and it took 6 months to make that step, though. So it was a lot of time and effort. And once we got him into English curriculum, his new surroundings with maybe everyone wearing masks and being in lines, he didn't have an opportunity to meet people, and he just felt isolated in his own situation, which was common for us as parents and, working people to, we're going through the same things at work and whatnot. So it was easy to start putting together pieces of a song when we have all this we're dealing with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is basically being forced into change and accepting it one way or the other.
Pretty much, right? It's as all of us, not just as artists, all of us as human beings basically experience this big, massive shift, and all of us were forced to adapt.
Yeah, that's right. So someone in school, I guess we'll never know. We're out of school, you and I. So you'd really have to, I guess, appreciate that, some kids are speaking out and showing natural frustration and the inability to, get through it on their own, where things are happening. It's mental health. It's a little bit of everything. And I think I'm just lucky to be able to help him through his problems by maybe the song helped me realize that it is actually a problem. And the song is just an advice song, but the actual issues at hand they're hard to deal with, right? You're dealing with it for ourselves, but when you go to explain to a kid in grade 4 maybe what he's going through and you don't know, kind of hit a wall.
Well, and his perspective of the world is just so different, right? Where, like you mentioned, like coming from one school to a different school, normally, like most kids are going to be worried about making friends and otherwise in just a regular situation. And you go and add all of these other things on top of it. Like, I can't blame them,
Yeah, that's right. So we got through it. We got through the school year and things are taking shape. It took 1.5 years though. And like a good song come out of it. The message is to take a negative happening and put a positive spin to it some way or somehow. That's what good advice is. You want a bit of a cheer squad on the sidelines. It can't just be, oh, I've been there. We'll get through this. It has to be something a little bit better than that. And I think thinking in music and in my craft, putting that melody and the upbeat, just the way the drums are played in this song, make it all uplifting,
Mm-hmm.
There's not much of a snare going on in the song, but the you can hear in the background, the beat is there, but the song is slow. It's meant to be have meaning. And then, from the sidelines, we're cheering hard. You want good things to happen out of this. Just take the high road and, keep your chin up, keep your head up, and something good will happen.
Hey, I like how you just mentioned that, how the song is structured, because this, like you say, the song is advice, the lyrics are advice. So the fact that you gave it breathing room so that people could actually take in those lyrics and soak them in and actually take their own experiences, their own lessons from it. That's really beautiful, my man.
Yeah, no, there's thanks for that. There's a good team there. Stephen Arundel's been playing lead guitar since 2010 with me. And I guess he's been around to watch me take shape in some of my writing habits, and eventually started co-writing and producing. Now he's produced the last 3 songs. So we have a good bond there. That probably helps the formula. And the guys we engineer with and do our drums and bass with is the same 2 guys in Winnipeg, is Cody Owaziak and Julian Bradford. And we just keep the recipe the same for the last 4 projects. And with that, you come up with, I think, more solid and in tune tones and sounds. And everyone's input is invaluable at these points. When you put this much effort into working with other musicians in the studio, that's how you come up with, like what you're saying, dynamics and some feel, room to breathe.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You mentioned a couple of the people who helped to bring this song to life. You also had the opportunity to co-write this song with one Dave Waslu of, I believe, Doc Walker fame. So what was it sort of like to have him in on the track too?
I've been getting comfortable with working with Dave. He sang backup vocals on last year's release, Nickel Mine, and met in the studio a few times and just bumping around on business affairs. And lately becoming better friends, more comfortable, like I say, and being able to pass lyrics and what something means to, I guess, any artist, because it's him who deals with other people. I'm new, but he does this every day for breakfast, lunch, and supper, right? So he's good at it. He's brilliant.
An incredible songwriting talent. Is there anything that you'd say that maybe you've learned or maybe picked up from your time from being around him?
Yeah, there's how would you say it? Like an agenda. There's a professional agenda. There's a friendship agenda, and there's, we all work with other entities in the business, and it's pretty neat. It's well-structured relationships with everybody at that level.
Hey, awesome. Love to hear it.
So I mean, for myself too, I'm a very friendly guy, talkative. I'd have my door open, everyone would get a key. And it's not how everybody is, but I'm like that.
Hey, it's sometimes you got to protect your energy, but at the same time, it's some people need good energy, and it's good to put it out into the world, right?
Yeah, well, it makes for good team players, right?
Absolutely. Hey.
Can't all be yings.
Oh, so very true. So balance.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, I love it. And of course, one thing that I mentioned earlier here is that this song, within 2 days of being released, was already a top 5 track being picked up by radio stations across Canada and otherwise. So what has it sort of been like to, once again, see this reception, see yourself continuing to make a mark inside of this Canadian country music industry?
That's a good way of putting it. I think it goes back to working with the team players and not trying to fix anything that wasn't broken back then, and let it ride, maybe there's a song there, but sometimes squeaky parts that need greasing, that's all they needed was a little bit of maintenance, and you keep going. You don't need to change parts. So I think I've been lucky to stick with the same people and sources that we utilize to record. And that's probably a huge part of it. Other than that is paying attention to things we talked about, what you pick up from other professionals, and apply that to your, your work day and those sorts of things. Otherwise you just keep going. If their songs are quality to go on a track, to even have an opportunity to make radio, then the focus now has to be the next one. If you sit around too long and soak up the applause, you got nothing. You'll have nothing when the applause stops. So we're focusing on another song, and I guess this is the life. We're just gonna song after song. That's what I've been doing for the last 10 years anyway. So I'm really enjoying the reception, like you're saying, of the interest that's there now for the music, and that's why I make the music. I don't make it for myself. I need to hear the melodies and the instruments as much as anybody else. I've just been gifted with a craft of putting lyrics and emotions to those melodies. Hey. But the music is definitely something that moves each and every one of us. Doesn't matter the genre.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. If it gets you in the right mood, if it helps you through a difficult moment, whatever it is, music is magic.
That's right. If it gets you to the dance down the street, or right.
Hey, or just dancing in your living room. Either way.
That's it. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And of course, once again, talking about balance there, we're trying to take a moment to smell the flowers while still making sure that the vehicle's moving forward, making sure there's another song on the way, right?
That's right. Yeah. Well, there's got, we've been, and same thing with my online content with video. We got some projects coming up, and they're going to be out soon. You got to have a face to the name type thing. And everything I have ever put up has been someone else putting it up. And, we've been working on the quality of our visual content, and that's coming up next for me. A few shows and just keeping that up, all the nelsonlittle.com website and all the, affiliates that go with that. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, absolutely. The work of the independent artist, it never ends.
That's right. You're like a farmer.
Absolutely. That's a good way to put it. I've never heard it that way, but absolutely makes sense.
You want to be there, you got to get out of bed in the morning and be there and look after your crops.
The work doesn't get done if somebody's not there to do it, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And of course, you mentioned there maybe some prospective music videos, maybe some video content coming their way. So if people want to stay up to date with the world of Nelson Little, what's the best way for them to go ahead and do that?
nelsonlittle.com is our website. And otherwise on Instagram and Facebook, everywhere else, Nelson Little Music. We're up to date on that. So everything's there.
All right. I'll throw some links in the description to today's show so that make it nice and easy for the listeners. Of course, we were just talking about the reception of the song, like sort of getting to radio and otherwise. And one other way that I would love to really sort of dive into it is when we started this off, you mentioned that the song was initially inspired by your son and sort of some struggles that maybe he was going through. So of course I would love to know, what has sort of your son's reception been to this song?
Another good question. There's so he's watched the last 3 songs get pre-produced and then some projects wrapped around that. And there's 2, this one and the one coming up in the fall. He's really paid attention to that. This isn't just a game for myself, that Dad's serious about what he's doing as well. It looks like all fun and games, but he sees how much work goes into recording and marketing music. So he's been listening to the songs over and over. He knows them. He can sing them. And I think the message is definitely there for him. more so like he watched the song get created and go to radio. He sees that it's a pretty serious thing, and he probably appreciates and respects me that much more. And just for myself, that's just one more avenue that I have into him when I need to direct him in, in dire times, or just in our daily agenda. So I think it's done that. As for the lesson, just like all of us, I think time is what we all need.
Hey, time can heal wounds. It can bring people together. It can do some very wonderful things.
That's right. So sunny days are appreciated right now. They're outside biking.
Hey, absolutely. Getting out of the house is something that I'm sure is very appreciated by many people after the last couple of years. And you yourself have had the opportunity to get out of the house, get onto a stage, even have some upcoming shows coming up too. So what has it been like to do that, get back into the live aspect of things?
I'm right in the middle of it myself. Other team players have been back at it for, later in last year, but because it's summer now, they're super busy. I just had a few. It feels good. It's still there, but the full 1 hour shows are still, I got 2 of them coming up, and all I got to say is the boys better be ready. And I'm part of it, man, because, if there's 5 of us up there and I'm singing, I can't screw up either. But, we all have our little moments, and you just plow through them.
Absolutely. Everybody backstage getting the warm-ups ready. Got to make sure you're ready to go.
That's it. But we'll see. I'm sure nothing will be perfect.
Hey, it's entertainment, right? You just rock with it. The crowd doesn't notice, or maybe they did it on purpose just because it's live,
Right, exactly.
If you don't let them know, they don't know.
Right.
Oh, my goodness. I have had a blast so far. Nelson, I have one last question for you.
Okay.
All right. Of course, we've talked about the crafting, the process of building and releasing this latest track here, High Road. What I would love to know now is, through that process, how exactly has that helped you to grow as a person, or what has it taught you about yourself?
Last year's release was a big release for me. Nickel Mine was a song written about my uncle who he left home at the age 17, 16, got on a train, went up north to the nickel mine, got a bartending job for a couple of weeks, and had his name down at the mine. And most recently, in the last 10 years, buried his wife. He outlived his wife. He retired from the job, still lives in the same house. The song had such big meaning to me that when it was released and it sounded the way it sounded, I was worried that I couldn't come up with anything near the caliber of Nickel Mine. And High Road, I think, has surpassed that. That's what I've learned, is maybe a little bit of time, a little bit, it's not confidence. I'm just, when there's something good, it's hard to keep being good. So High Road has done that. And, I just hope the next 2-3 songs, I keep in mind that what we're aiming for here, you want some truth in your music, in your lyrics. I do. I want to live through some moments and explain them in a song. And if you always stick to using uplifting energy in the melodies, I think that's something I've learned to, if something's not working, maybe we'll throw that pattern in. And because music can sometimes just change the mood of the emotion. So that's probably something I'll take with me for sure.
Hey, like you said earlier, it's sometimes you don't have to fix everything. Sometimes it's just little details, right?
Little brushes, little double brushes.
Just those little brush strokes help to bring things out, elevate the picture.
Just something. Yeah.
Hey, well, I thank you for sharing that. Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, nothing. Just I would keep rambling if you let me. So.
Oh, well, I appreciate you sharing this lesson with us here, Nelson, as well as the story of this latest single, High Road. I mean, I can keep rambling forever too, but I'm sure we both have things to do. I mean, I know you got some boys you probably got to go play with. outside. So I just want to say once again, thank you so very much for taking the time to join us here today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.